Yep.
What is today? Friday? Sunday?
Yeah, it's raining.
Rain day?
Thursday, rainy.
Yep.
My sump pump just ran.
Hmm. How exciting.
Very, very exciting. What is somewhat exciting, although maybe not all that exciting, is Phil Spencer is over in Germany and did an
Yep.
interview, I'm guessing yesterday or last night or whenever, with Eurogamer. And
Yep.
pretty
I
much
have it.
says, look, we're not doing a mid-gen refresh. It's not happening. It's not for us. And also, prices are never coming down.
Yeah. I haven't read it yet. I pulled that aside. It was one of the things I,
Yeah,
want to read, obviously.
one of the things he points out, and you'll pick this up when you read it, is he says one of the things, like, they talk about why they could do one like guaranteed 4K 60 frames per second, that sort of thing, but then he gets real specific and it becomes a challenge for developers knowing which box to target. It really sounds like they
Yeah.
learned a lesson when they shipped the Xbox One X about the issues that come
Oh,
up with the development side of that.
did they? Because they released two different consoles at the same time. I feel like that was maybe the mistake.
Yeah, and maybe they learned that again. But you get the same sort of vibe from him that, like, we've been through this road and we're not going to do it again. Now,
Yeah.
he doesn't comment on potentially like a Series X without a disk drive that might lower the price. He doesn't say anything about
Yeah.
that, which seems like a logical way that they could save money and ship a new box. But yeah,
Right. Yeah. I'm also, the thing I saw in the headline when I pulled it aside was about Game Pass. I'm curious what he has to say about that, because there is this, I was talking about this on Windows Weekly, but this notion that, Call of Duty in particular has makes $1 billion in 1 to 3 days every year. And if you put that thing on Game Pass day one, as has been the strategy for every first party game, doesn't that ruin that?
so perfect example. I'm somebody that's the only game I really buy other than
Yeah,
what's
me
on
too.
Game Pass.
I know,
And if
I
they
know, but
put it on Game
right.
Pass, they're not getting $70 out of my pocket throughout.
Yep. So I don't know what the Game Pass numbers are today. Obviously, I think we can assume it's going to go up dramatically if they get Activision Blizzard. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so whatever, make up a number. Where was Xbox Gold Live was at 60 million at one point, I think. So say it's 100 million people. What's 100 million? 100 million? It sounds like a lot.
It
What's
does.
100 million times $60? Like, that's how much you're losing.
It's a lot of
Minus the,
dollars.
yeah, it's a lot of, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
Well, the
I'm
thing
not,
is, though, is they have the data. So
right.
Microsoft knows how many people have Game Pass and
Hmm.
bought Call of Duty. Like they have
There you
that
go.
data
Yeah. Yeah.
clear
Yeah.
cut right away.
On Xbox. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean,
so
of course,
I'm curious how many people bought Call of Duty but don't have Game Pass, because that is the market that they could effectively pull in
well,
almost
the
immediately.
vast majority, right. So the vast majority of people who bought Call of Duty, PC and Xbox, do not have Game Pass. I think that's fair to say. I mean,
I
obviously,
would think so, yeah.
it has to be, because it has to be, right? Hundreds of millions of people play Call of Duty. So, has to be. But still, there's a math involved there. And I don't know what what does the typical Call of Duty player look like month to month, as far as, I mean, overweight, obviously. But, like, what do they mean financially to
Right.
whoever owns the franchise? It's probably $120 a year ish. Are they still doing it? Well, they don't really do the season pass thing anymore, do they? So I guess it's technically just $60 a year now.
Yeah, but they do
$70.
have the seasons where, and now especially because they're really
Hmm.
juicing the revenue. So
Yep.
on Warzone, and I
Yep.
don't know if this carries over to multiplayer, they have, like, we'll say season 5 because that's what it is right now. Like, there's a battle pass that you can
Okay.
get.
How much?
If you complete the battle pass, you get enough like in-game credits to buy the next one for no additional dollars. That's what I've been doing since the beginning of time. However, they have introduced a thing they call Black Cell, which is like there's the
Sure.
battle pass, and this is like you can only pay for the stuff that's in there. It's like $30.
Hmm.
And so
I mean, they used to do, it was $60 for the game. Now it's 70. And then it was $60 for like a year of the DLC,
Yeah.
right? And I guess they've switched that up. But we're not going to be able to solve this problem financially right now. But someone's are looking at the numbers for the Call of Duty sales, unit sales, Call of Duty usage over time, the number of people who do the thing you're
Hmm.
describing versus the number of people who pay, and they know the numbers on Game Pass. They have expectations on how Game Pass will PC and Xbox and Ultimate, I guess, will go up because of Activision Blizzard. They could base it on how did Bethesda impact it and blah 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 blah. But I don't. It just seems like a hard problem to me. I don't know. I don't have like. It's not something you can come to
Yeah.
easily, or I can't anyway. I don't know. There's a lot of variables here.
Well, one thing we can agree on, though, Paul Throt, is that Microsoft looked at the numbers and said, it makes sense
It
for
makes
us.
sense for us. Yeah, that's true. The other thing is like that $1 billion couple of days thing that happens every year is an Activision thing, right?
Right.
I mean, they have to have. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, there's some math for Microsoft where Xbox Game Pass plus Activision makes sense. So it's possible Call of Duty as a franchise becomes less valuable in a way, but yet Xbox as a platform becomes more valuable because it's in there and all the other stuff is in there too, right? And they're going to expand into mobile. And I don't remember the exact figure, but didn't Call of Duty make more money on mobile last year than it did
think so.
elsewhere? I think so too. I mean, it sounds weird just saying it out loud, but I think it
Yeah.
did. And those games are all, well, you can play them for free, but obviously, but they're all
They're
there's all kinds of things
churning
you can
in the
buy.
money.
Yep, yep. So again, it's just so much. It's hard to even contemplate this. But I think about it all the
Mhm.
time because this is the crux of it. And no matter what roadblocks come up, they're like, "Yep, we're still doing it." It's like, okay, it's got to be worth. They got to think it's worth it, you know.
Speaking of money,
Mm.
Nvidia's revenue
Yeah,
went hockey
increase.
sticked, as we would call it in the industry.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of 100% increases in revenue.
Yeah.
I this is I think a lot of people struggle with this, but like profit can go up and down dramatically. I've gone to you twice in the past year about Amazon because their profit goes up or down. Like one case, I think it was like 1,707%, right? Which is like really hard to even understand. But profit's one thing, but revenue is kind of the real number, if you will. You don't see a lot of 100% increases. It means that like their revenues slightly more than doubled year over year. That is, I mean, this company's been around for a long time. You get people. I try to explain this to my wife for some reason because I saw the headline about Nvidia later. But this company made graphics chips for computers.
Yeah.
This is a very limited business, you know. And just by some miracle of fate, those things are really good for the most important workload of our entire industry. this thing, I mean, compared to Intel or AMD or whatever, they're still not, like one of the biggest chip makers on earth exactly. But actually, they kind of are, And I don't see it. I don't see this going down anytime soon. The biggest threat to Nvidia's business right now is if other companies that need these chips, like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, figure out how to make their own.
Correct.
And that's pretty much it. Their biggest threat is their own customers.
Yeah. Well, you could put AMD in there. Like you'd have to on a Gantt chart, on a coordinate chart of like where the risk is, right? They have to be on there. However,
actually,
it feels like, and I could be wrong, it feels like Nvidia has almost like a generational leap on the AI side over AMD currently.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I said AMD's revenues, which I feel fell pretty dramatically, but let me look that up, are less than half of Nvidia's right now, actually. Yeah, so I mean, it only fell 18% year over year, AMD's. But okay, so there you go. So AMD's revenues in the last quarter of 5.36 billion. Nvidia's were 13.5.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not an Intel. What about Qualcomm? Qualcomm, they might.
You got to the way I would see, like in a typical market curve, you would see right now we're seeing explosion in this AI, right? The chart will eventually level out, right? About
yeah.
And then that's when AMD can catch up, but we don't know when that peak begins to set. And right now, Microsoft and Amazon, like, look, if we're buying AI chips, we better just buy the best because that's what our customers want. And Nvidia's like, and we will charge you a premium for them.
So I'm going to completely scale back everything I just said, because as of today,
Mm-hmm.
just looking at the most recent quarterly earnings, Nvidia is actually the biggest by revenue. And that's because Intel's been nosediving lately, right? But Intel's revenues were 12.9, Qualcomm's were 8.5. I think I said AMD's were 5.3, and Nvidia's were 13.3, I think, 13.5. So much for that theory, Paul. Actually, I mean, that's not really how we measure company size, obviously, or whatever. But everyone else that makes chips is going down right now because there is a devices free fall occurring across all devices, right? PCs, tablets, and phones. Phones, curiously, are actually in the worst shape right now, relatively speaking. But the one chip that we need more of and can't get enough of is the one chip that Nvidia makes.
Yep.
It's crazy. That is fascinating.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon, at least for the next
and they
couple
said
quarters.
They're like, yeah, we're going to have the same growth next quarter.
Yeah.
So they're looking good.
Yeah.
These guys tried to buy ARM, remember?
We'll see if anybody can catch up or knock them off. You never know. They could get blackberried. Probably not.